Hello, 420. How are you guys? I'm Jeff Kravitz. Welcome to 420 Live. It's good to have you today. Today is Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo, the end of civilization as we know it. Everything loaded into one fantastic day, and we're here to celebrate it with you. I don't think civilization is going to end. I actually think we are going to grow. I think we're going to enhance our lives. I hope you're all enhancing your lives at home. I come to you every day, Monday through Friday, from 4:20 till we get done, to distract you from the BS. Let's be honest. There's so much BS out there, and it's kind of like we're all waiting it out to see who's right. Are the guys that are out there with their guns on the Capitol right? Are the doctors that are in the hospital with dealing with all these sick patients right? Is our president right? I don't know. Not my job to figure out either, though, folks. My job is just to distract, and I'm glad you all tuned in today. We have a great show lined up. We actually have a great week lined up. We are happy to be coming to you as part of the Osiris Media family. And Tom Marshall is my executive producer of the show. I don't know if you guys know that, but besides all his busy stuff that he does, writing lyrics with this little band you might have heard of, and just doing his podcast, he also executive produces my show. So we are planning world domination through talk. As you can see, there's this new little object at the bottom of my screen today. I had to kick it up. I could hear when people had mics how good they sounded. So I was like, all right, I need to kick up my game a little bit. So I got this little phallic symbol at the bottom of my screen now, folks. So there you go. Exciting, huh? That's the big news around here today when the FedEx guy pulls up. How about you guys? Are you excited when you get a package? Are you ordering off Amazon all the time? Are you shopping? Are you online shopping? Or are you waiting to actually go somewhere and shop? I don't know if I'll ever go anywhere to shop anymore. I kind of think those days are kind of finished. I'm going to do everything online for the rest of my life, including my job. So I'll be here every day talking to you guys until I'm blue in the face. And today I'm rocking the Riviera Country Club shirt. I live right by Riviera Country Club. It's a beautiful country club. We go out there maybe once a year for the thing. But the best thing about this shirt is that they spelled Palisades wrong at the bottom. It's not an A, Pala. It's Pali, P-A-L-I, Palisades. So I appreciate that in your fancy gift shop, you're selling $40 t-shirts that have the name of the city you're in wrong. But I don't even know if the people that work there actually know. They probably charge double for that. So, we are getting through the days, and I'm sure you guys are too. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Yesterday, we had the Marleys on. I don't know if you caught that show, but it was so funny at the end. I just keep rerunning the scene of hitting up Rohan, who has kids of every age, and he has an 8-month-old. So here he is, 30 years of children and still changing diapers. And as a father, it's something I don't want to have to do until it's my grandkids, and I can pass them off and say, here, your kid needs his diaper changed. So that's how I'm kind of attacking it. So we're lucky. We have a plethora of guests in general that are, friends of mine that I want to talk to, that I've been, strategizing with to get on the show. And I'm really lucky tonight. I have 2 guests, but I'm going to handle one at a time because that's the way it is. And ladies go first. So I'll introduce my first guest is the beautiful Alana Campos. She is a friend of mine. We've been to Burning Man together. We've seen Fish dozens of times together. We've partied late night into the early mornings. And, I've met all her and her friends. It's just a great crew that I have in Las Vegas that I hang with. And I was proud to be part of the Swan Camp this year, Prodigal Swamp Camp, and Alana was the woman in charge, and Ryan was taking care of everything. I mean, it's just great to be surrounded by so much love. And Alana is, something that's kind of a mystery to me because, as you know, I have to. Oh yes, because of the birthday boy, a big shout out to Jason Weinstock because it's his birthday today, and he introduced me to many people in my life. There's some of my favorite people, and Ryan Doherty and Justin Weniger are two of those guys I met in Las Vegas, and they were both promoting the Life is Beautiful concert, and as well as many other things. And thank you, Jason, for enhancing my life through great human beings. So it's what really is the best thing about everything I do is to the people that I meet and the places I get to go and just the interaction you have and how you grow as friends and relationships blossom. So back to my subject. Instagram is always a conundrum, especially for a real photographer, because it's not really a place for real photography. It's a thing where spectacle rules. And if I post a picture, like let's say this picture or that picture, yes, I'll get in the hundreds or maybe even the thousands of likes. But my next guest could put on a bikini and go to one of the most beautiful places in the world, and 10,000 people will go, boom, they'll say, Alana Campos, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Fair. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, yes. Being beautiful is a lot of work.
I'm great. How are you?
How's Las Vegas right now?
A few things are starting to open up, but as you know, all the casinos are closed, the strip's closed. So I went there yesterday or the day before, and it was kind of crazy to see everything boarded up, nobody on the streets, people like biking on the strip. It was a little crazy.
Yeah, it's an alternate reality. And Las Vegas, I mean, they want to open it now. I know that. They're like, open it up. But it's...
Yeah, I mean, there are weekends that they have like over 1 million people here that's from somewhere else. And seeing the city so like dead, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's very sad. We're definitely going through a very interesting time in our world. So is this the longest time you've been home in... I mean,
Yes.
you're always traveling.
Yes. I mean, usually like 2019, I was home for like maybe 2-3 weeks and I would go somewhere. And this, it's been about 5 months now and I'm going crazy.
Have you cleaned out all your closets?
Everything on the book I did. Clean up, like organizing, like everything. I've been cooking so much. I think I've gained like 10 pounds already. And but it's been good.
Yeah,
can't complain.
It's very centering. I feel very centered because I feel pulled here and pulled there and pulled there, and I got to do this and I got to do that, and I feel like I'm giving 10% here and 10% there. Now I'm so together and
For
present,
sure.
So I just have nothing coming up like you.
Yeah, like a lot of things got canceled. Only from January to June, I had to cancel 5 trips: Turkey, Italy and France with my mom, Maldives, Grand Canyon, and now I have one the end of June that I don't know if it's going to be canceled or not, to Havasupai Falls.
Really?
It's in Arizona, but I've been trying to get tickets for 5 years, and now this happened. I'm like, no.
Here, I'll pull up a little picture here. If you go on Alana's Instagram, she is just like all over the place, all over the world, and just like looking beautiful. So when did you start modeling?
Downward.
You that one there? That's at home? Is that home?
That's home. I was 15 years old. I was like, very, very young.
Yeah, and what happened? You were in Brazil at the time?
Yes, I was living in Brazil at the time, and I got discovered on the beach. There was a guy that he worked for the models in Brazil. He was a booker there, and he saw me, and he was like, "Oh, come to the agency with your mom. Let's talk. Maybe you can start modeling." And I did, and like 2 years later, I was making more money than my mom. I'm like, "Okay, bye."
I'm out of here. When did you come to the States?
I was 19 when I came here.
I
didn't speak any English. I didn't know anybody. I was like, okay, let's do
Did you
this.
go to Las Vegas first or Miami? Where'd you end up?
First I went to Seattle, then I went to LA, and then Vegas.
And
But it's been a crazy road.
yeah, well, the career is up and down anyway, modeling, but then Instagram comes along and it's a completely different outlet. Like before you did Playboy in Brazil, right?
It was here in America.
Oh, yeah, I was American.
Yeah, I was Playmate in America September 2012.
Wow. And that's a whole world of its own, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They sent me all over the world to like pretty much to party and have fun. You just had to, be nice to everybody and smile, take pictures, sign your name, like give autographs and stuff. And everybody was super professional, and I miss that time a lot. I miss all the girls that I met and all the friendships that, were built on the way. A lot of the girls went back to their countries.
Yeah, well,
Like
the whole business died. Playboy magazine's dead. They're not even printing it anymore.
Yeah, it's really sad what happened. I think even before like Half was, when he was still alive, Playboy already wasn't what he used to be. But it's really sad because he was such a visionary and fought for women's rights and all of this other stuff that a lot of people don't talk about or don't know. And people just think he was an womanizer and like all this crazy stuff because he had like, I don't know, 12 girlfriends. But like that's his own life.
Well, and a lot of that was show and being the brand. I mean, he was an old man at the end. It wasn't like he was a sexual
Yeah,
dynamo, you know?
yeah, for sure. When I got into Playboy, like he was already, with the cane, walking with the cane. Like I didn't party with Half or anything like that. He wasn't like going out to clubs in LA anymore. It was
Yeah.
way past that phase.
Yeah, I would get a call from the Playboy Mansion. They'd be like, "Are you going to be at this event tonight?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Hef's going to come by." And I'd take a couple pictures, and then they'd like kind of drop them off at the mansion, and I'd go up to the mansion and drop them off. And it was old and decrepit back then, and that was in like the 80s and early 90s. And I was just like, "Wow!" But it was so amazing, the magic to go up there and experience like that whole thing. It's such a world of its own, And
yeah. The first time I went there, I was just like in awe with everything. Because growing up in Brazil, like Playboy is one of the biggest accomplishments you can do, being a model there, and the magazine in Brazil is actually like still pretty big. So a lot of like really huge celebrities in Brazil shoot for Playboy, and when I had I guess I went after the opportunity because I sent an email with my photos and submitted myself and stuff, but it was a big deal. My mom was happy with it. My grandma saw it. Like everybody was fine.
Playmate of the month is incredible, and then you got to get in the whole Playmate of the Year competition and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's fun. It's a job. It's like being Miss America. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think like it's all fun and like crazy and like this and that, but we had a lot of rules. Like if we were going on a job, we couldn't even drink, and that was a strict rule. So they always wanted to make sure everybody was very professional and, we did our job and everybody was happy.
Did they ever make you get in one of those little bunny outfits?
Yes, I tried all of them. I worked in the blue and the red. The red was my favorite. That was my color. And I worked in the black bunny suit, green. I wore the Jack flag. Is it Jack flag from
Oh yeah,
the
Union Jack, the Union
Jack flag.
Yeah.
But
I heard they're not comfortable. Like I could never get in them, so I just heard that they weren't comfortable.
No, so when you take it off, you can literally like stretch your ribs, and they're like you hear it cracking.
Oh.
It's definitely not comfortable. That's why like all the jobs that like they have girls working in the bunny suit, they cannot work more than 4 hours.
Right.
And that's the rule.
Yeah, in Atlantic City, when they opened the Playboy Casino in Atlantic City in the 80s, and the girls had to like learn how to put a drink down and how to deal cards, all in these little outfits. It was kind of crazy, and you would hear them complaining. They'd be like, "Ouch!"
Yeah, Yeah, I was lucky. I didn't have to do any of that, like the bunny dip or like this and
Yeah, the
that.
bunny dip, right? Yeah, the bunny dip.
Yeah,
It was it,
but go ahead.
yeah, it was such a thing. I mean, he's so legendary what he created. How did you and then you kept modeling off of that, one job leads to another, right? And you just kept on growing and growing. When did
Yes.
when did you make the transition to Instagram?
So I think I started on Instagram like back in 2012, and it was just for fun, sharing, whatever I'm eating or my workout or whatever. It wasn't like I didn't take it seriously until like 2015, 2016, when it was okay, now I have enough followers to start making money, and then like everything kind of like transitioned to, oh, this cozy here is
Oh
just
my
trying
God,
to,
my kids love your dog so much.
uh,
Look how big. Holy
she's
moly.
huge. Um, so in 2015, 2016, I started like paying attention to other influencers and other creators, and there weren't like just posting whatever picture or mirror picture or anything like that. It was more like a content. They're always like creating beautiful pictures, and that's kind of like I started to transition like out of Playboy and like the modeling and going into more like the influencing stuff.
And I mean, you had to carve your own path and just watch what other people did. There weren't any instructions or anything, right?
Yeah, no, it's I feel like anybody can use their creativity how they want to. I see a lot of people, I think everybody has like their own thing that they're passionate about, the niche. I love traveling and I love food. I love working out. I love being in a bikini. Nothing makes me happier than being on the beach. So this is what I share the most, is like my travel and some modeling jobs and stuff. But some people like cooking or fitness, and that's what they share and what they create.
Who was the first person to contact you and want to give you something? Do you remember?
Uh, no, but it was probably like a bikini company.
Right.
But I started making money with Instagram in like 2014 or 15 maybe. Um, and back then they used to pay a lot more than now, because now it's like so hard with the engagement, and they see, because back in the day like was really easy to grow. I would get like 1,000 followers a day for nothing. Now like to gain 1,000 followers, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And your photo has to go to the explore page, and but um okay, where I was going with this. So now like the companies, they want to see like where your followers are from, how much you get, your impressions, your reach, your engagement, how many saves you have. It's a lot. So I feel like back in the day it was a lot easier to make money on Instagram, because companies, they paid people kind of like on not knowing exactly what they were paying for, because I didn't know like in 2014 that most of my followers are men, and I got so many companies that were focused on like lady content and bikini or lingerie or a tea or whatever it was, and they just didn't know. So now like companies really want to find the perfect influencer for their
Right.
product.
For their demographic, they want to find the people that are in
Yeah.
that demo. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
huge business, but like, how do you figure out? Like now, is there like a Instagrammer influencer agency like there was Ford Models back in the day?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of them. I'm signed with an agency from Toronto. No, they're from Quebec. It's called Dochero, and they're being great for me. I've been with them actually for only 5 months, and I already booked 3 campaigns with them since January, and it's the campaigns that are bigger campaigns that I would book it on my own,
Right.
basically.
So,
So
but most
it's
most of the
good.
other stuff, people contact you directly.
Yeah, a lot of companies contact me, or send a DM or email, but they don't want to pay as well as they would be paying for an agency. So I rather just tell, if they contact me directly, I just rather tell them contact my agent, and they'll send you my rates and stuff.
Yeah, it is such it is such an industry. It's unbelievable. So if you like, let's say going to Turkey, the hotel calls you up and are like, "Come to Turkey, we'll pay for everything," and they give you some cash
Um,
too, or is it just all trade? No, all trade,
I
right?
wish.
Yeah,
I wish. Well, a lot of the trips that I make in collaboration with the hotels, I pay for my own flight, and the hotel is paid for, and the food, and some of the hotels will include on the package. Oh, you want to get a city tour, or you want to go snorkeling, or whatever the activity that they offer.
right,
They want to show that to my audience, because when people are going there, they're going to be like, oh, I want to do that because that's cool.
right.
So, but usually I haven't had any opportunity yet that, well, I'm lying. I did have one hotel reached out to me from Greece, and they said they would pay my flight to go there. So it's the only one, though.
That's the only one. Well,
That's the only one.
I mean, the competition's got to be fierce. I mean, you go on
Oh,
Instagram,
it's
the amount of
crazy.
girls on Instagram is staggering.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And like in the travel niche, there's so many people that have so much beautiful content. And like the travel couple, it's
Yeah,
like it's a lot. You have to have your own, I feel like your own little thing that is just special to you to make it work. You go down to my pictures, because those ones are not, I am not traveling, I'm home.
well,
But
yeah.
if you
You
go
want to go
down,
down
like
further?
there's a lot of,
Oh, I see that.
yeah,
That's
if you go down,
how far?
if
How
you
far?
go down further, there's photo. Yeah, go, yeah, down more, more.
Oh, that's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah, so there, yeah, I
You
know.
like
So there
here?
I was in Brazil. Yeah, that's Brazil, and then I have Brazil, and then I went to Sri Lanka and Bali last year.
Oh, look at
Um,
Rio, huh?
yeah, that's Rio.
So do you have to go with a photographer, or do you set the camera up yourself?
So I usually I don't have a photographer. I'm just traveling with friends, and I show them exactly what I want, and they just shoot it for me, basically.
Right.
I set the lighting on my camera, and I set the position, and I tell them this is what I want. Just click the button.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's so much fun. You're always having so much fun. I'm like, Alana, what a life. It's
Yeah,
just
it's great. It's a great way to like see the world, spending half of the money you
would
usually
normally,
would.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
And
do they tell you how many pictures they want, or do you work out and negotiate how many posts or stuff like that?
yes, yes, for sure. Some hotels they want 3 posts per day. Some hotels want one, and I usually do 1 post per night, plus all the tags on the stories and stuff like that. And I usually have a video of the entire trip that I put on my IGTV, and then I tag the hotel in there as well.
Yeah, it's amazing
So
PR because it's like PR by just somebody having fun. But I saw
yeah.
Bali, you were on the swing, the big swing. You did like every amazing tourist thing when I saw your pictures from Bali.
It was so cool. It
How,
was one of my favorite places last year,
how long
for
do you usually
sure.
go for?
So, well, Bali, I mean, I was traveling for like almost a month
Oh,
on
gee.
this trip, but I went to Bali. I was in Bali for 20 days, and then for an extra, I think was, yeah, for an extra 10 days, I went to Sri Lanka. I don't know why I really wanted to go to Sri Lanka, and it was amazing. It was like very eye-opening and like life-changing experience. It's like it's a country that people are so poor, but they're so happy and they're so glad you're there. It's like you see it in the eyes. They're like just full of gratitude, and they're like you really feel like you don't need much. It's just in there.
So one of the things that I think is probably the most unique thing about Alana that a lot of people might not know out there is that she is a huge fish head. Do you want to talk a
That's
little bit
true.
about how you came to fall in love with that band? Because I think I just want you to know, at Trey, when we were in Mexico, he was talking about how incredibly mediocre the crowd was. And in all fairness, you were in New Orleans and not in Mexico. But how did you get into fish?
So in 2018, I think, or 2017, I went to David Bowie Halloween concert here in Vegas. And I was just like, it was my first time doing mushrooms. Is that allowed here?
Fish. Hey, trust me, we do a lot worse. They're legal in these
um,
states.
right? No,
Yeah.
finally. So I went to that show and I was just so in awe with like the lights are beautiful and like all the everybody in costumes. And the thing that was most amazing to me, that was not one person sitting down. Not one person sitting down. Everybody was dancing and having a good time, and like the energy is just like you just want to feed off the energy. You just like can't stop smiling, and that was the feeling that like got me.
How many times do you think you've seen him by now?
I think last time I think was like 32,
32.
34. Yeah, I think so. I'm up there. I
That's,
mean, 3 years. I
I
feel
know,
like
that's
it's a
good.
lot.
Plus your life of travel, but you make room. You make room
Yeah.
for the fish. You love the music.
Yeah.
What
Yes,
were you
it's
listening
awesome.
to before that? Were you just listening to the usual
Just the usual.
music?
I've always loved Bowie, and let me think of something else. Queen. I love Queen. But I was probably listening to the usual, maybe EDM or something like that. Nothing super nice.
It's a little bit it's a little bit meatier for your brain than the EDM music, right? I mean, you really got something
Yeah.
to think into there with the fish.
Yeah, yeah. After I saw Fish, I'm like, what is the point of everything else?
Well, but it also opens you up to a lot of different music too, and that's what happened to me. I because of Fish, I started listening to other. Well, it started with the Dead. I mean, for me, it was just like downhill, just just bring it up as much speed as possible to where I'm just surrounded by the music I love and the people I love, and it's kind of what makes us all get together. What is your the first place you want to go when you can go somewhere?
Um, well, definitely some tropical, but my mom is living in Spain, so I think I'm gonna go see her.
Oh, they had a lot of problems. How did she? I guess she's doing okay.
Yeah, she's doing okay. She said they started already opening up, and they can go outside for like an hour a day or
An
something.
hour a day. I mean,
Yeah.
that culture, and Brazil, same thing. Even Las Vegas, not made for people to be far away from each other. It's
No.
everybody on top of each other always.
Yeah.
In little bars in Spain and little tiny bars, grabbing tapas over the trip. I mean, their whole culture is food out, left out on a bar that you go help yourself. I mean, that's good. It just changes everything about all these
Yeah.
different cultures. Well, I'm glad you're staying healthy. How's Ryan doing? Everybody's good.
He's good. He's working like nonstop. I barely see him. I mean, this week I barely saw him. He wakes up at like 5 a.m., works out, and then by 8:30 he's out the door, comes back at like 7 or 8, sits by his computer until like 10, and that's it.
Well, he had it, right? He got sick. Yes or
He
no?
well, he had he was sick in December. He was really sick, like had the fever. And he thinks for sure he had it. And he was in bed for like 4 or 5 days, and then he had to get into a plane and go to like travel to see his mom and his brother. So he think he got it back in December.
Oh, that is crazy.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
There's Alana's tag there on Instagram. If you want to entertain yourself looking at a beautiful lady doing what she loves, every time I see you traveling, I'm like, I want to go there. I want to go there.
Yay, that makes me so happy.
Well, of course, that's what it's all about. And that's kind of what Instagram is. It's just so crazy that I put up amazing pictures, and it's so hard for like a middle-aged guy to get purchase in that land of so much spectacle,
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that do really, really well, they use a lot of Photoshop. They change the sky, they change the lighting. It's all about the filters. It's not even like real anymore. You're just like dreaming about something that it's not even real. Like I went to this place in Bali that was the Bali swing, super famous over the rice fields and everything. And I got there and it was like, I thought in my mind, I was like, okay, this is probably like somebody's backyard where I have to ask them to let me in or something like that. And then I get there, it's a whole full on business. They have like 10 different swing setup and you have to pay, I think it was like 1,500 rupees, whatever their currency is. I know it was a lot for being in Bali, because everything in Bali is really cheap. And I know it was a lot. So I was like, what the hell is this? Everything in Bali you have to pay for. If you want to take a picture, you have to pay to take the picture. So they're very smart, but it kind of like takes away
the magic and
the magic of like, I thought this was this way, but anyway. So they have buses of people coming in to take that picture. I was like, okay, I can't do this. This is not this is not what I'm about.
Yeah, well, it's another tourist trap is what you're saying. And that's part of all of this. It's just like trying to get the tourists out. But tourism's going to take a huge shot right now. I mean, everything's going to be a while to bounce back. So we're just going to have to stay, stay safe and take care of each other. And, I want you to meet Simon, my next guest, because one thing I know about Simon is that he loves beautiful women. So I just want to give him a chance to say hi. Do not give him your phone number, whatever you do.
All
Everybody,
right.
Simon Allen from the New Master Sounds. Hello, Simon.
Hello. Am I too loud or too quiet? Just check that
You could turn it up a little bit, maybe.
Okay, let's try this. How's that?
Yeah, that's
a
perfect.
bit.
Perfect.
Super. Hello. Hi, Alana. And hi, Jeff.
Hi, I can't hear him, though.
You can't hear him?
No.
I hear you.
Well,
we're gonna say goodbye to Alana. We're gonna say goodbye to Alana anyway. So wave and give her a big kiss. I love you, Alana.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody get up there.
I love you too. I miss you.
Get on that Instagram, and I can't wait until we're somewhere having fun together again. Say hi to Ryan and that cute little pup.
I will.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Alana Campos. Simon, that's a tough act to follow.
I don't know. I mean, I've sent you an erotic photograph. I don't know if that's
Simon, can you do this?
Well, the last time I tried to do a bridge, I had sciatica for about 3 weeks. That's the problem. I've been doing these workout videos that are put on by New York millennials, right? And they all look kind of perfect, like sex bots. And they're doing aerobic workouts with, moves like burpees and planks and plank jacks and all that kind of stuff. I've never heard of any of this shit before the lockdown. And
yes, I'm dancing every day with the girls in my living room. We're prancing around to some dance, Ryan Heffington, and it's a trip. We finally brought the housekeeper back today. It was a big day at the Kravitz house. After weeks of me lobbying, my wife
having to learn how to use the kitchen and stuff.
No. This is the cleaning, the deep cleaning, because we're surface people, and she comes in and so. Weeks of me lobbying, hey, we need help. We need to get her back. We need to get her back. And finally, Jules is like, okay, bring her. We're going to bring her back. I'm like, woo.
She's in a full hazmat suit. Is she?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I hopefully she'll be fine. Jules was like, you have to wear a mask. I'm like, no, she doesn't.
How you should be wearing masks to protect her. That's how
you're right. I'm much more contagious. So you're our first international guest. It's almost 1 a.m. there. Thanks for staying up.
You're very welcome. Yeah. So I was going to think about playing drums for you, and then I remembered while we were having dinner that everyone else in the house is going to be fast asleep.
It was good during rehearsal, though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the drums are just behind me here. Here's the hi-hat. Oh, actually, they're not all. My 16-year-old is playing Xbox in the room next door, and if the internet starts getting patchy, it's because he's using all the bandwidth.
What time is he up till usually?
Last night he stayed up all night and then went to sleep at noon and got up at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So he had 3 hours or 4 hours sleep. Like he's kind of gone fully nocturnal.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. It's like a drug, that game, huh?
Oh, it's more addictive than any drug I've ever taken, I think, from what I can tell. I mean, I tried it once and I just felt like somebody's granddad. I couldn't make the characters move to bend to my will. And
well, I'm all right with one button on a thumb, but it's the buttons and then the finger buttons and then the other, but one button, I'm okay.
You need a piece of card with a guide to what they all do. But, the kids have got them all down, haven't they? I mean, I suppose it's like driving. Remember when you first learned to drive and it just seemed like an impossible stack of different things to coordinate all at once?
Yeah.
And then for most of your life, or for almost all your life, it's just been completely automatic and totally not a big deal. And I think they get like that with the 10 or so things they can do with the two hands. I mean, there's 10 fingers, aren't there?
Yeah, and there's their friends always, that's the competition, I think, between the kids.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So where are you in England, in the UK?
I'm in Leeds, which is 200 miles due north of London.
The first time I ever heard the word Leeds as it referred to a city.
Is it the Who?
Yeah. Does everybody say that?
Everyone who's American who's into music says that. And that place where it was recorded was when I not from Leeds. I came here to go to college and I never left. And my university dining room, which is called a refectory, it's the kind of thing they have in Harry Potter,
right?
Which is just a big hall where they serve like school dinners kind of thing. Well, that's the room that the Who did their recording in. But I saw James Brown there before he died. And I think the Stones also played there. And the student union had to build a helipad on the roof before the Stones would agree to play there.
Oh.
But it sounds shit in that room. I tell you, the recording will be way better than whatever the gig was like at the time, because they hadn't even invented proper PA systems at that point.
Yeah, I think that's what part of the thing about the 60s is that everybody misses, is that everybody thinks that when they think back to a show, it has the same production value that music does today. And it's just
all the Beatles gigs, you couldn't even hear them, could you? Because the girls were screaming and that was louder.
Yeah, I actually talked to Ronnie Delsner, who brought the Beatles to America, backstage at the Garden this year, and I was talking about just this subject about how different production he said for the Beatles at Shea Stadium, they had 2 poles with a light on each pole pointing at the band. That was the light show.
And how many people are watching that show? Like
Shea Stadium, I think was 80,000 had to be at least to see the Beatles, and you couldn't hear a thing, like you said. You don't hear a thing. So. When I would go to the concerts in the 70s, you'd go in and it would be so bad because it'd just be reverberating around these old hockey rinks that had no acoustics whatsoever. Now, at least they think about it a little bit, when they're designing.
I'm really missing playing live shows. I mean, I suppose everybody says that, don't they?
Yeah. Well, how long has it been? Was this the longest stretch in a while? I mean, you're in Leeds anyway, so you have to fly over when New Master Sounds plays. So you come over how many times a year usually?
For the past 15 years, I've been coming to the States on average 8 times a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
Because we don't tend to tour for more than 3 weeks at a time. I mean, I've got quite high status with American Airlines, although it's kind of useless right now. So there's been a lot of flying, and the last gig that we did was when I said goodbye to everybody. It was in Osaka in a hotel in Japan on February 1st, and we'd just done 2 shows out there, and I remember we'd had some T-shirts made and we hadn't sold quite all of them, so we were dividing up the remaining T-shirts to put in all our suitcases. Like we could only fit 10 each or something. So I was like, okay, everybody take 10 and then we can sell these next time we're in the States, which was supposed to be the weekend just gone for Jazz Fest.
Right.
And so that's actually the last live show that I played, was the Osaka one the night before we said goodbye. And I was expecting to have this hiatus between February and May, but because this happens quite a lot, most years there's a gap, and I in the 3 weeks or so leading up to the trip to New Orleans, I start playing these drums again along to Master Sounds tunes just to try and get back in the zone, because in the intervening time I forget who I am and what it is I'm supposed to do. And
Right.
I start thinking, it's what happens when I get there and I can't. What if I forget how to do it? Right? Because I don't actually play in any of the bands over here. I just make music. Like, I've got a friend who plays guitar and he comes around and I play piano and sing with him, and we kind of we've entertained some people in an old folks home once before the COVID thing put a stop to that. And I've got a bass guitar that I bought for my son, which I've started to pick up since the lockdown, just because I've got endless amounts of time. With the ukulele downstairs, which I can play 4 chords on, and so I really do miss being on stage with a whole band and an audience. And I've been looking forward. I mean, I haven't been looking forward to New Orleans because it seems to have been off for at least 2 months. It's been obvious that wasn't going to happen.
Right. Yes.
So I've kind of I've been coming to terms with it. But the thing I'm coming to terms with is maybe there won't be a show this year. Like there might be shows that just about start up in the fall over there, but I don't think there's going to be a Master Sound show, because we 3 of us have to get visas to be there, and we were just about to go and apply for them in London, and then they shut the whole thing down, understandably, because they don't want any more people coming in and out than's needed. And I was just filling in my online visa application and looking at the one of the fields you have to fill is where will you be going, and COVID had become a thing. This was mid-February.
Right.
And I looked and I started listing all these different American cities. And as I'm doing it, I'm just thinking, this is a terrible idea. They shouldn't be allowing foreigners to come in and go all around different cities, mixing with loads of people in a confined space. I wouldn't approve this visa, and I had to abandon it anyway because the website closed down, and then they announced, like, sorry, this isn't happening now. But for us to start up again and for all that to happen, it's probably going to be a bit longer than when it is for just regular bands doing small shows. It's really hard to know, isn't it, if the world's going to go back to normal? But at the moment, I don't know about you, but I feel really lucky that I'm getting to spend a load of time with. I don't really approve of school, and my teenage boys both normally have to go to school, and they haven't done, and I like that. I like that.
You like having them around?
Yeah, I do. It's really nice.
But they're doing your online school, right? They're doing Zoom or anything like that, or no?
No, not. I mean, the younger one, he gets assigned things to do every day, but they're not actually teaching him anything.
Right.
And the older one, so cushy, right? So ours have exams, important exams at the age of 16.
Right.
They're called GCSEs. And they do, I don't know, about 8 of them. So it's a broad range of subjects, but that's what enables you to have the right to pass to the next level of education, right? And he really hadn't done the work. He'd had a lot of messing around over the past 2 years and a lot of disruption and stuff. And he changed schools. And the teachers were going, he's a bright lad, but he needs to actually do work when he comes out of school as well as at school. And as far as he was concerned, just going to school, that was his job done. Yes. Yeah, it's like, thanks very much, but I'm doing my absolute bare minimum to and so what's happened is they've cancelled. I mean, I used to dream of this shit when I was at school. Imagine as I was cycling to school with an essay that was due in that I hadn't done. I was praying for some kind of nuclear attack or something.
The old call the fire alarm trick.
Yeah, well, I actually wanted some kind of far-reaching apocalyptic thing that would mean that my overdue homework was no longer relevant. And he's just got it. And it means what they've done is they've cancelled the exams, and they've said that the teachers are going to give them results based on their assessment of how they think they would have done.
Yeah, that's great.
But they can afford to be generous with that because they like him, you know.
Right, and they don't want to see him again. They want him out, you know.
No, this lot they get on really well with him, and they do like him. So they've got no reason to, because he would need these grades to get back in next year to the same place.
Right.
But they've got no reason to be harsh with him, because who's going to care?
What's
This is
the point?
all
I mean,
magic.
everybody's great. They're doing the same thing here in the States. They're pushing everybody through to the next year. I mean, you know, it's just a really strange time, and I feel bad you don't have anybody to play with there.
Well, it's really tough, and we've done our best with the kind of remote recording thing.
Right.
So we made a track, and that was, it was tricky because it started with just me sitting on those drums, trying to imagine the structure of a song that doesn't exist.
Right.
So I haven't written a song. I'm just imagining that I'm playing along to something, and I'm putting little sections in and little pushes and stuff. But like, it's just a drum part. I sent that to Peter, and Pete then plays bass completely with that whole drum part, and then sends it to Eddie. And then Eddie, if he needs to, kind of cuts and pastes it and turns it into an arrangement. And then, and so it can be done, but there's very little joy in the process.
Yeah.
You know?
It's hard enough to get in the studio anyway, and now you got to get in the studio from your home or whatever. It's just,
well, we're not one of those bands who writes a part and then records all their parts separately. Like, a lot, that's quite normal in pop music and
right. Oh yeah, so to lay your tracks, and then
yeah.
Well, your music is completely different. I saw the special that you and Eddie hosted the other night. I caught some of that, where you guys were showing all your best cuts from Jazz Fest over the years. One of you was playing with Stanton Moore on the stoop outside Jazz Fest. Was that after Jazz Fest was letting out, or just a random?
Because that show had been designed to catch all the people as they spilled out of the fairground. And Stanton had just been playing in the fairground because he plays there every year.
Oh, yeah.
With whoever, you know, including Galactic, but there's lots of stuff because he's from there. And he was just walking past with all the other people on his way home, and he stopped and jumped up on the stage. And I mean, we had met him before, and Galactic, and so it wasn't like we didn't know who he was, and he
some random guy off the street.
But he didn't know we were going to be there, and we didn't know he was going to be there. So it was one of those really nice, spontaneous New Orleans things that happens.
Who are your influences? Because your style of drumming is completely unique. I mean, I hear like Buddy Rich in there. I hear modern drumming. Who is your influence?
I always used to say that my biggest influence. This sounds so cheesy, but that my biggest influences were Pete and Eddie, who I play bass and guitar in the band, because they're who I'm getting my groove inspiration from. But in the very early days, this is sort of late 90s, I guess, when I was first working with Eddie, he was kind of molding me a bit by sort of exposing me to some Blue Note stuff, like the soul jazz. And there was a drummer, Grady Tate is one of them, and another one is Idris Muhammad, who started out as Leo Morris. And both of them, I think, informed my playing, because I was kind of, when I met Eddie, I didn't really have a musical identity particularly, but I knew I was into funky, soul-y, jazzy sort of stuff. So, so we were listening to some of those tunes, and we were covering some of them. And I guess in the covering of them, you start to listen to what the original guy's doing, and that then starts to just bleed into your own vocabulary, I suppose.
Yes.
But I do have a bit of a kind of rock and roll-y animal type thing as well sometimes.
Yeah, you mean from the Muppets?
Yeah. Cause I didn't.
That's a good influence, actually.
Well, I didn't have like a strict technique lessons at any point. So
No, you didn't. You were just all self-taught, or?
Yeah, and I've had one or two lessons over the years with people, but I sort of picked it up by myself. And so by the time I could play, I'd got my own way of holding the sticks and flapping my arms around. And you see, like, people who are trained, and sometimes the arms just don't move, right? It's just
Right. Yes. Yes. It's all on the wrists.
And which probably explains how some drummers can be massively overweight, because their technique is so good, then they're hardly moving at all. You know, like, it's minimal kinetic activity. Whereas for me, I'm often just bashing away like this, just because the intensity in the song has got to the point where I think everything needs to be hit harder, and I hadn't developed that kind of.
Well, I did say when I talked to Eddie last week that I thought the tempos when I first saw you guys at Jazz Fest, I guess after Katrina, 07, 08, where I'd walk in, you would just be like driving that band at a level like this. You were probably high as fuck, but I get it.
Well, I mean, the shows started at 2:30 or even later, didn't they?
Yes, but your energy was unbelievable. For 4 hours, you would go, and we'd be like so tired dancing by the end of that. It was like, whoa.
I think at one point there was a review of one of our records, and it described us as the meters on speed.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
But there's my favorite types of groove are the mid-tempo funk that just bounce. That's what I want to dance to, really.
Yeah.
The frenetic stuff, it's entertaining, and it does keep the energy up in the room, and it enables Eddie to play his million-mile-an-hour guitar solo.
Yeah,
the shredding that the crowd seems to like.
Yeah,
but I much prefer like a mid-tempo groove that's got lots of space in it, and is quite repetitive.
Who are some of your favorite sit-ins that you've had over the years? You had some incredible people sitting in with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go right to the top and say Bernard Purdy.
Oh.
At Bear Creek Festival, we had 2 drum kits for that, and he came on, and we just exchanged little. It wasn't like a drum solo situation, because I don't really do those, but it was like 4 bars of groove. And then he takes 4 bars of groove, and then I take 4 bars of groove, and we did that tune "Who's Making Love," and it was great, and he was just smiling throughout, and that was probably one of the highlights. Before that, in maybe 2007 or 8, we were doing Jam Cruise, and Maceo was on as a what do they call it? Floating? No, where everyone's floating. It's on.
The ambassador, like in the
artist at large.
Artist at large.
That's it. And we were doing a club show inside the boat, and he came and stood. I think Carl Denson was around, and he was standing next to Carl, and it was Maceo nodding his head, and Carl was nodding his head, and then Maceo opened his sax case, constructed his horn, walked onto the stage, started blowing with us, and at that point, I was thinking, oh, this was quite early in our American adventure. So we first came in 2004. This is maybe 3 or 4 years later, and that was an unexpected thing to be happening.
Yeah, well, it's rare when someone just walks out on stage and starts playing, but that's the kind of place where it happens on Jam Cruise, right?
But Maceo, like he really means something to us, because James Brown is another big influence. Probably the reason I don't say the names of James Brown's drummers, like Jabo and Clyde Stubblefield. Here I am saying the names just so you know that I know.
Right.
But there's it's not just them. There's a couple of others. It's because I don't necessarily know which one of them or which 2 of them were playing on any given groove that I like of that music. So it's more, I think of it as James Brown that's the influence. You know what I mean? Even though those drummers they're all great.
Did you see him live? Oh, you saw?
Well, I saw James Brown live in a really lame kind of way that was probably less than a year before he died, and the band was kind of cheesy. The sound was terrible, and he hardly had any energy. I mean, he was old.
Yeah, he definitely.
So I probably regret seeing it. Like, I didn't need to see that. Just I hope that doesn't happen with us. Like, we get really old, but we don't know when to quit.
Yeah, but if you quit when you stop getting paid at a certain point, and I think that's the same thing with James Brown. When people are like, we don't want to see you anymore, then he's like, but
right.
Wheel them out there, throw them up in front of the stage. Now they're doing hologram entertainment, so you don't even need to have a real human being. It could be Roy Orbison or Mike Holly holograms. Maybe that's the future of concerts, either the artists or holograms. I saw in Denmark, they're doing old drive-in theaters that they've converted into concert venues. So the band's on stage and everybody's sitting watching the concert from their cars.
It's better than nothing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the other thing is the virtual space, which is, I guess, where we're all living now.
I don't like it. I mean, I like the fact that I'm talking to you, but I wouldn't normally be talking to you, would I? Like, we could have done this at any point. We could have had a FaceTime chat.
Yes.
But we just, we probably didn't think we needed to, because we knew that we would see each other in the fullness of time at one of these things like, a Jam Cruise or New Orleans Jazz Fest or something.
Or the last place I ran into you was probably one of the best Broadway shows I've ever seen.
Oh, that was awesome, wasn't it? That was the Talking Heads David Byrne's theater show.
Amazing. And that was New Year's Day in New York City.
Yeah, because we just played at we had played at the Gramercy Theatre the night before. And I'd managed to get a ticket at the last minute. I was really surprised. But the guy that I'd been hanging around with in the green room of our show is a friend of mine, and I knew he did something in broadcast or media or technical, right?
Right.
Lighting sort of stuff. Turns out that he was at our show because he'd taken New Year's Eve off, was the only day off he was having from running the lighting board at the David Byrne show. That was his job.
And he came to see you guys.
So he came to see us, and then I went to see essentially his show, but he didn't know I was going because I didn't even decide it until a couple of hours before. But then, ran into you, and that was great. And you live in LA, but there you were in New York because you'd been for Fish. Is that right?
Yeah, I was there for Fish, and you guys were playing the after shows of Fish. So I convinced Jules to go. I'm glad we went now. I'm glad I've gone everywhere now, because now I look back, I'm like, I shoulda, coulda, woulda.
But have you found that you've been talking to people more that you wouldn't have bothered talking to?
Oh my God. Let me tell you something. I never FaceTime before. I was never FaceTiming ever. I was like you said, I wanted to sit there on the phone and FaceTime. And now my friend Kevin Mazur called me today, and he called me on the phone. I'm like, just FaceTime me, because I want to see my friends when I'm talking to them now, because we don't see each other. So rather than talk on the phone, I'm like, just FaceTime me. It's amazing. I'm on the House Party app. Have you tried that yet?
I've seen it, and some people have said it's better than Zoom. I guess Zoom has this corporate connotation, which makes a lot of people think they're still in their office job, and that's what it's for.
Right. It also Zoom is more structured. In House Party, you're just talking to a couple of people, and next thing you know, somebody comes busting in you don't know, and then you all start talking.
So it is like being like at a party.
Yeah, it gets awkward sometimes when you're in there talking to a friend. All of a sudden, somebody you don't know comes in. You're like, oh, we were just in the middle of this conversation.
Yeah, please leave.
It's like popping in. But
I've got some friends who I was in a band with when I was at college, and what year would this have been? 92 maybe, right? So the first band I was in, or one of the first bands I was in, was called Limousine, and it was kind of indie rock. And the guitarist now lives in Melbourne, Australia. The singer lives near you. He's in West Hollywood. He's a director. He has his own podcast as well. And the bass player lives in London, and I live in Leeds. And we've got this little WhatsApp group called Middle Aged Rock. And we've been, this week and last week, we've just been doing like air bass competition, sending each other 30-second videos of ourselves doing air bass to some track, and then just sharing it on. And that's so much fun. We don't need a virus to do that kind of thing. We should have been doing that all the time.
No, it's true. It has solidified your friend group, and you definitely reach out to people more, and you're talking a lot more and communicating a lot more than you did. But like you said, we would run into each other. We would see each other. There was the whole social aspect that we don't have anymore. And I guess that's the hardest thing. We all miss music. We miss seeing you play it as much as you miss being there to play it. Yeah. So it's a symbiosis, and everybody, all your fans, everybody We all missed Jazz Fest this year. We all missed being with each other, and it was a hard shot, but it was great to see you and Eddie. The way you guys are communicating and showing those old clips was kind of took me back to being at your shows and being there with you guys.
Same here. So, yeah, I mean, for me, because I stayed up all night and kind of watched. I watched bits of it, and I chatted to people who had tuned in to watch it, but were confused as to why it hadn't started yet, and ended up having a party with some people on the West Coast. I think I didn't go to bed till 6 because they were just getting going, and it was on FaceTime, and it was fun, and it was actually felt like being at a party for the first time.
Yeah.
But have you seen or heard of any bands who've managed to actually like do a performance of all doing it at the same time?
Yes. So the only thing I saw was I saw the Rolling Stones. You saw that, right?
No.
So the Rolling Stones performed on the Citizen. They have a new song out, and it's actually probably one of the best new Rolling Stones songs I've heard in years.
Right.
And it's on my Spotify. I think it's called "Ghost in the City" or something like that. It's a very cool song, and they did something where they split the screen in 4 and they all played together. So I don't know how they did it. It had to be the click track, but there is an app called Acapella.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and that's on your phone. And then there's a sound app on your computer called Jammer, Jammr, that goes through the laptop, but that's audio only. But there's no lag, and that's pretty incredible.
That's really important. Eddie was telling me about one called Jam Kazam.
Jam Kazam.
Yeah, which is some kind of similar principle, which we haven't tried yet. But I remember someone was trying to persuade us to use it about 5 years ago, because they knew that we all live in different countries. But we've always just waited till we're together, you know.
Right.
So we just never bothered even opening it, I don't think. Or we were probably just too like Luddite to even think of that we'd be able to figure it out. But now it's like, okay, that might be the next gig we do, is it on Acapella or Jam Kazam or something. I'd certainly like to be able to play in real time with Pete and Eddie and Joe. I just, you can't really beat that. I hope it's possible. Yeah,
well, I do too, and I think that they have more people working on that than they do the vaccine right now.
So your photography stuff has kind of just stopped, right?
Well, I mean, I'm still selling pictures through Getty Images for news stories that people use. But as far as me creating new content, which I did every week or two or every couple days, that's all stopped, and all my events have stopped. And that's kind of why I'm in this space now, because I just don't see where I'm going to go. And I need something. I'm like you. I'm very active and have a lot of energy, and I need to have something to focus on. It's been incredible to be able to talk to my friends and share their stories and touch base, you know, and bring people from England over here to America and, you know, to talk. I did try to get a couple of my friends from Italy, and they're like, oh, no, way too late, Kravitz. But there's no real reason. It's hard to stay up late, you know, because I watch TV. You know, if I sit down with Jules and we watch TV, 10 minutes later, I'm sleeping. You know,
that's what my wife does, and she, like, if it gets beyond 9:30, I'm thinking you're not going to make a 1-hour episode of anything.
But they try, and then they argue with you about it too. I can do this. Don't change the channel, and then they fall asleep. Like, oh.
Yeah, and I mean, I have stayed up late myself a little bit, and I'll probably go and see Herbie next door and maybe watch like an episode of Community or something with him.
Right
on his bed, in his nest.
Hey, listen, I've never had the kids around the house this much. They're all gone stir crazy. It's nuts. And there's not enough entertainment. There's not enough video games. There's not enough anything. So it's like, hey, we're at the point now where everybody's chomping at the bit, and you can see everybody all over America. They all want to get out. Everybody's out. How's the weather there?
Well, it's been unusually nice up until 2 days ago, yesterday, when it was heavy rain, but it was kind of heavy rain that was needed. Like, you know, for anyone who has a garden, we're like, fair enough. Yeah, we would never have to worry about shit. Is the garden going to dry out?
Right.
But I've been running a lot. I've been cycling with Catherine because she's not been working so much, and so for a while it was just like being on holiday, but at home, and it was nice. When as soon as the sky goes grey, then the kind of the real bleakness kicks in of oh shit, it's this and it's bad. But when the sun's out, I mean, it's not like Spain or Italy. We're allowed out of our houses. It's a kind of semi-voluntary lockdown.
Right.
It's like with you guys, I guess. It's just like advisory, and lots of things are closed. But you can go out, but you only go with your family member, so that you're not increasing the chance of spreading it. But it's been really nice, and I don't, apart from the prospect that there might not be any gigs for the rest of the year, I don't really have any complaints at the moment. I feel really
I think everybody's appreciating a time in their life to kind of circle the wagons, clean out their closets, do all the shit you said. Oh, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. So we're kind of like getting ready for this new emergence to come out of the cocoon into a beautiful spring. Hey, Simon, I love you very much. I can't wait till I hear you play drums or see you and give you a hug in person. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's great to see you. Say hi to the family.
I will.
And well, let's do it again, when we've got something else to talk about.
Yes, when the skies clear up. Have a great night. Thanks, Simon. There you go, Simon Allen from New Master Sounds. What a show today. We went from Beauty to the Beast. Me being the Beast. Simon looks way better than I do. I like someone said he looked like Austin Powers on there. He's gone right to bed. He's like, I'm out. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Another great day here on 420 Live with Jeff Kravitz. I appreciate you tuning in. Tomorrow, the legend, Tom Marshall on the show. We are going to do it up. Thursday, Portugal the Man. Friday, Jerry Harrison. And then I get 2 days off, and it's my birthday Saturday. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to throw a rager. I want to invite the whole city. It's just how I am. But I guess I'll err on the side of caution and just like invite everybody on Facebook to some virtual hang. I love you all. Please, please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Don't listen to them. If they tell you can go out, just wait. There's no rush. You've already waited all these weeks. It's not like there's anywhere to go anyway. Nothing open. So just chill out. Let everybody else get sick and die. And I want all my listeners to stay happy and healthy. All right. So please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Hydrate, medicate, eat the good food. Keep the trans fats away. Here's the hug. Have a great day. Peace, love, happiness to everybody out there. We'll see you tomorrow, 420 Live.